Hey, what's good? Neighbors Not Numbers is a coalition of organizers, neighbors, and volunteers pressing candidates for Congress to commit publicly to abolishing ICE and building a humane immigration system in its place. Adam Baumel is the guy behind Neighbors Not Numbers and the Abolish ICE pledge. Not just that, but he's also working on a documentary called Carter Country that tells a story about how a small town banded together to get Jimmy Carter elected president in 1976. This is my conversation with Adam Baumel. Before we get into it, remember to go to coconutjustice.com to get you some clothes that I think would look good on you. Let's go. Welcome back, everybody. Like I said in the intro, Adam Baumel is here, and he's his group is Neighbors Not Numbers Coalition, and one of their big efforts is the Abolish ICE pledge. Did I get that right?
You did indeed. You did.
Yeah. See, notes.
A for effort. Oh, no, that's not a thing. A for effort and for result.
You be careful with those hand signals. Where I'm from, you could get shot.
And I'm like a 38-year-old Jew over here doing this. I probably shouldn't do that.
So you're from Florida?
I am.
Born and raised?
Not born. I was born in Atlanta in one of the largest birthing wings in the country, as far as I was told. But we moved down to Florida when I was like 2. So I never say I'm from Atlanta, but yeah, I was raised in Florida.
Did you, were you always in Northern Florida?
No. This is actually my first time living in Northern Florida. I've been here since February, and I've been working for the Department of Education, which has been a fascinating experience.
There's so many things that I can talk to you about right now. Just because I get to talk to like Bernard Taylor, I get to talk to Yen Bailey, I get to talk to all these wonderful future representatives for Florida. Explain to me why the hell a charter school, I believe it's a charter school, can go to a public school and just take a room and start holding class in said room. Did you hear it?
I won't tell you I'm super familiar with that, but
No.
There's a very fascinating story. If you ever watch John Oliver, he has like the show This Week Tonight. He covered the New School, which is based out of Sarasota, Florida. Like, it's a beautiful part of Florida. It's like right on the water, and they kind of were proud. I don't know how to say, in the past. They had pride in they had pride in being kind of like a really exploratory, like liberal arts institution. And a few years ago,
high school level, grade school level?
Oh no, university.
Oh, okay.
And they're a public university, so it was actually affordable for students, but it wasn't super large. Like, they don't have like really any sporting programs there or anything like that, but they had. You ever seen the movie Accepted?
I don't think I have.
With Justin Long, where they make up a fake college. This was a real college, or it is a real college. But basically, they gave students the ability to kind of craft their own degree programs and things like that. But it was like accredited. So anyway, a few years ago, they like overturned a ton of the senior staff. And they brought in a guy, I forget what his background is, but they're paying him like $1 million to be the dean at this school that doesn't even have that many students. I think it's like a 1,200 student body.
Yeah.
Like half of their faculty is left over. The changes they've made, it's a nightmare. And they're trying to make it come off as like one of those like transitions from a liberal arts school to I guess a conservative arts school, like a platform that they want to be able to utilize
Everybody
for
knows
every red
conservatives
state.
don't make art.
I know. I know. And they gave scholarships to like 79 baseball players. They don't have a baseball team. Telling you, you gotta watch John Oliver. It is wow.
Florida, huh? So when you first moved to Florida, what part did you live in?
So we lived in South Florida.
South
We
Florida.
started out in North Miami Beach.
Okay.
When I was like 4 or 5, we moved to Broward County, so like not too far from
Yeah.
Fort Lauderdale, Hollywood,
Yeah.
Pembroke Pines, if anyone
Uh-huh.
recognizes those places. That's where I went to school. I stayed there through high school and some college. The school I went to is Broward Community College. At least it was when I was
Oh,
there.
nice.
Now it's
Yeah.
Broward College.
Yeah.
I joined the Navy at 21, was in the Navy from 21 to 25, moved to New York at 25, was there for like 8.5 years, fell in
Hell yeah,
love,
you
broke my
were.
heart. I moved back here. I don't know if you were asking for the whole life story, but
Oh no, this is good. This is good. No, because basically what I was building up to is when I had Yen Bailey on the channel, I told her, or I explained to her my view of what Florida was, and you start in South Florida because you're immigrant or you're young, and then from there you move up to Central Florida because you're too old for all the young people, or maybe you're not gonna get kicked out of the country or something, so you can relax a little bit. And then outside that, like North Florida is nothing but hillbillies and rednecks
and college students. But no, you're
and
right.
college students.
Yeah, the Tallahassee, I think it's like a population like 210, 215,000 around there. I think
Yeah.
it's like 80,000 are college students.
Holy cow!
Because FSU's here, and
Yeah.
FAMU is here, and a few other schools.
Yeah, and FSU is a legit learning institution.
Yeah, I mean they're legitimately a good school, even though I mean the Heritage
though they're
Foundation
surrounded
says
by
every school in
Floridians.
Florida is the best. The Heritage Foundation says every school in Florida is the best, the most freedom, all that stuff. But no,
That's
it
right,
is
they're
legitimately a
down
good school,
there.
and UF is a good school, but that's not in Tallahassee. That's in Gainesville.
Yeah,
But
yeah. What is it about Florida politics that makes that attracts people like Rick Scott and Donald Trump and a lot of the members of Donald Trump's cabinet? It just seems like they all come from Florida.
I mean, it's been a tax haven forever. I think that's a lot of it. And
Yeah.
for people who have ever lived in New York, they know this, but people who haven't, it's constantly referred to as the sixth borough. So for a while, New York had a larger population up until I want to say 5, 6 years ago, or the last census. And ever since then, Florida has basically gained the New York member of Congress. So now they have a larger population because there's no state tax.
Yeah.
And now they're potentially going to either eliminate or very much lower the property tax, which is another. It may sound great, but I think it's going to have some very, very problematic unintended consequences that people I think are just not thinking about.
Yeah, so what brought that about? Is it because Ron DeSantis is nervous about losing his job?
No, he's limited. He's term limited, so he can't
Oh.
even run for re-election. I think this is kind of like what he's seeing as like his last hurrah or something.
Yeah.
And he's done some pretty aggressive things in this last year and a half or so. Like
Yeah.
he really wants to go out with a bang.
And so he wants to lower housing taxes on real estate or on
Property taxes.
property tax. Yeah.
Yeah.
But aren't things like funding schools and things attached to this tax?
They are. Which is a great reason why there's some extremely, extremely high-end areas where, like, high schools. So, for instance, I don't know if you've ever heard of Cypress Bay. It's in Weston, Florida. It's an extremely well-funded school. And there was, like, an MTV show a while back. This is, like, 10, 15 years ago.
Okay.
But, like, and they're audio recording rooms are like professional. Like this looks like it's a private high school and it's public.
Yeah.
And it's because there's like multi-million-dollar homes all over the place over there. But then
Yeah.
you go to parts of Miami, you go to certain parts of Palm Beach, certain parts of Broward County where like homes are worth like $130,000. Well, not anymore because even shacks are worth more than that now. And they can't be insured because it's Florida.
Yeah.
But those areas have schools that are basically falling apart because schools are funded based off of the homes in your area. So they don't kind of take, at least not nearly enough, from the higher valued areas to these schools.
Yeah. I'm originally from Chicago, and coming up through the public school system, and then when I was working my way through college, I worked at this high school in the good neighborhood. And I wanted to go to college at this high school. This high school was amazing. They had 5 huge computer labs with 40, 50 computers in them. Every classroom had at least one computer in it. Teachers were paid well. Those after-school programs, all those things, all those wonderful things that make something like a school beneficial to the community.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So why be surprised? And it's probably, I think we know the answer to this, but it's not that they're surprised, it's that they just don't care.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, the people who are paying those property taxes and making sure that their schools are like utopian, pieces of art, essentially, they don't go to the other parts of town and see the other side of the coin, the other side of the story. So they have no reason to worry.
Is there a way to have them worry? Like, what can we do besides complaining the same way we've been complaining for decades? What can we do to like wake them up or to force them to kick in something?
Well, what I can tell you is I'm not going to say it's all white people, and I'm a white person myself, so it's like not an attack on anyone here, but white people tend to notice when things start affecting them personally. So just to give you an example, like the 2 murders that took place by ICE with Preddy and Good, those woke a lot of people up because they were white people.
Yeah.
And you could say a lot of the same thing about the civil rights movement. Like when you were seeing video of like those fire hoses painted or pointed at like younger white students who had commuted down to Alabama or the other places where they were, making some good trouble, that scared the crap out of people. Like they were seeing white kids getting fire hosed.
Yeah.
So,
and even more contemporarily, like within the last few weeks, we see how it's more than just ICE, but we see white folks losing the farm, losing their houses. We see white folks, and now all of a sudden everyone is tapped in, and they're starting to see And I hate to say that. I hate to say that white folks are okay with black and brown struggle. I hate to say that. Because it's such a tired frame of mind. And if you're tired of us complaining, imagine how it is. Imagine how it feels having to complain.
Absolutely. And I want to be fair because there's definitely plenty of like folks out there who have more and do care. Like if you're seeing like the crowds that are showing up to Delaney Hall, there's plenty of white people there advocating for the men and women in that facility that are doing their hunger strike and that are being subjected to, third world conditions. But it's not enough. We need everyone to show up. We need like a unified strike type condition, because what we have is numbers. We don't have the money. We're not going to have the money. Like the Elon Musks, like the billionaires, they can saddle
rigged
up
it.
in their ivory castle, they're fine.
Yeah.
But they'll notice once people all collectively say enough is enough.
Why aren't we there yet? Do you have a thesis?
People are afraid. They're afraid for the way it will affect them first.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, if you look through history, like any time there's been like late stage capitalistic type situation, like if you want to look at like the last czar of Russia,
Yeah.
things had to get so bad for people to rise up in a fashion the way they did, like the Bolshevik Revolution, things like that, or like the French Revolution. Things had to get that bad. I'm not like looking forward to something like that happening. I wouldn't call myself an accelerationist, but I've talked to plenty of people who are accelerationists. But
Accelerating towards another civil war.
yes,
Yeah.
like if there's a little smoke in the
Go ahead.
there's a little smoke in like the kindling here, but they want to put like a match to it.
Yeah.
Because they see it coming. I don't think they want havoc necessarily, but they see the havoc coming and they don't want to wait for it anymore.
Is it going to be another one of the North versus South things? Like, what's it going to look like, in your opinion?
It's hard to say. I would say the biggest thing that we have in front of us, like in the near future, that could really do that, and I think it'll be a more class-based than like a race-based type situation, but it'll be if the Republicans somehow find a way to manipulate the elections so that they maintain the House. That will be what will do it. I mean, I don't know if you're tracking like the polling, and plenty of people don't track the polling, but like they see MS Now, CNN, they talk about polling on there. So like no one's like completely unaware. And it's one after another after another. You see Trump's popularity sinking down to negative, even among Republicans. So with all of that kind of stewing, and then imagine you take that environment and essentially say, this was all fake. Republicans actually gain seats. How do you think that will go over? Because with all the things Trump was saying about 2020, and there are, plenty of people who believe him, this will be like 70%, 80% of the population that'll be like, this is not real. We are not being treated as citizens. We are just pawns.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doom and gloom is all you get from me today.
No, which is someone needs to. You know what I mean? Someone needs to. And for as much as I try to, during these conversations, I try to keep things a little bit more on the realistic, I can kind of see it bubbling up to, like, no one has patience for anyone anymore. No one has grace for anyone anymore. And when you have this turmoil happening, and you have the most powerful person in the country like egging it on, and it's not even that. This is what just really frustrates me about the whole situation is everyone is focused on him, but it's not him. It's this whole class. It's this subsection of the rich and powerful that they think that they can do anything and everything, and they could just pay them their way out of stuff. But then you have the folks that do that, but then they do atrocities. They do gross things because they think that they're going to get away with it.
It's entitlement. They think they are owed. They think they are owed this. And the reality is a lot of where this entitlement comes from is just because they won some kind of like genetic lottery. That's all it is. It's a genetic lottery. Like Donald Trump won a genetic lottery. His father was worth what, like $100 million, whatever it was, like a real estate mogul.
I like to remind people. His grandfather, Donald's grandfather, was a draft dodger from Germany. When he came here, he was completely useless. He went up to the Yukon and started a brothel. That's how they made their money.
Really? So what you're saying, and I hate to spin this in like a comical or humorous way, so why isn't Trump in favor of like sex work, like being legalized? Like bring this back full circle.
Because why would a drug dealer want you to legalize drugs?
True. It's almost like the mob not wanting prohibition to get eliminated.
Right. I have my what do the capitalists call it? My lines of not production. I guess the means of production. Yeah, that's what it is. If you own the means of production and you have a product, their product was what we all know it was. Why would I want, if I was a drug dealer, if I was a bootlegger, anything like that, legger, not liquor, why would I want the government to interfere? I'm making all the money.
Yeah.
And
life's pretty grand for you.
Yeah, especially with that group. If you were to legalize sex work, well, their sex work was even worse than sex work. Anyway, you're taking away even my opportunity to be able to record these people. And then there's my leverage. Like when you're forcing people to play fairly, they get upset. Especially if they've been rich their whole life.
Well, of course. I forget if it was Freakonomics or someone else, like mathematicians who make documentaries or something else. Mm-hmm. But they did like an experiment where they had, I think it was kids playing Monopoly. Mm-hmm. And they would give one kid like 10 times as much money to start with. And they also gave them like a quarter of the properties. Like all of it, like basically set you up in a way where 99.9, I mean, to infinity out of 100 will win. And the person starting with the normal thing, I mean, they may make enough to get on by, but they're never going to get out of their situation. It's basically like a caste system. Yeah. Like we might as well go back to ancient Mesopotamia at this point. And I mean, there's so many people with master's degrees, and not just master's degrees in things you can't get a job in, but like legitimate master's degrees,
right.
who can't get jobs in things they should be able to get jobs in.
Yeah.
I mean, my generation, I don't know how old you are. I'm not trying to ask, on the recording, but I'm 38. So I'm like right in the middle of millennial. And I would say we are the first generation that really I guess we weren't really aware that we were going to school for maybe not necessarily nothing, but for far less than the generations before us.
Yeah. I'm 54. I say it a bunch of times on this channel. But yeah, I'm 54. I remember going to school in the 70s. And I even remember when they tried to bring the metric system up and make that our system. I remember people getting upset. But school itself was always different. Like back then, a teacher could check you up against the wall if you were being a dick. Parents didn't stick up for the kids the way that they do these days. Like the kids, we all hear the stories of the parents getting upset with the teacher because the kid is an idiot. But it was handled differently, to the point where when you came home, there was still learning on TV. You still were watching Schoolhouse Rock. You still were watching Electric Company and Sesame Street and all that stuff. Now it's just junk TV after junk TV after junk TV, and now you can put it on the iPad. Which,
well, don't even feel that bad. When I was coming home from school, obviously not the 70s, but in like the early 90s. Yeah. The things that I was watching as like a 5, 6, 7-year-old after I did my homework. So my parents, if they see this, they won't get upset with me because they were good parents, I would say.
Hi, Mom and Dad.
But hello. But the things I'd be watching were like Power Rangers, or when I
Yeah.
got a little bit older, I was watching like TRL, if you remember that, like
Oh, yeah, yeah,
MTV,
yeah.
Total
Yeah.
Request Live with Carson Daly. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. I'm so old. But like, and like music videos were like the coolest thing because
Yeah.
you couldn't just bring it up on your phone because that wasn't a
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
So
You
like
had to
seeing
wait for
videos,
episodes. Yeah.
or VH1, remember the pop-up videos where they would pop up like
Yes.
Snapple type
I
facts?
loved that show.
They need to bring these things back.
Just learning, just pride in learning. It's crazy. It's crazy to see how proud people are to not know things. And
Joe
they,
Rogan,
and they, yeah,
he kind of makes people feel, and he's not the dumbest person alive. Like
he's not.
he definitely fills that kind of archetype of like blue-blooded man, he's in good shape. He probably eats steak every single night and his cholesterol's probably through the roof. But he's taking his horse tranquilizers or whatever, who knows, whatever junk
Yeah.
science stuff. But he kind of like is like that man's man type of thing.
Yeah.
And it wasn't such a bad thing early on before COVID. Like I remember he liked Bernie. It's like, okay, I
Yeah.
could.
I remember
He
that.
he holds some very objectionable views. At least at the time, I don't know how much those views have changed or not. But the whole Trump thing, he just completely shifted his whole
He,
personality.
yeah. That's where and I will still watch him. I don't watch the fighter ones anymore. And the comedian ones, I don't, aren't my favorite. But I'll listen to him when he's like talking to doctors and scientists and historians and stuff like that. I still do appreciate his show, but it depends on who the guest is.
Of course.
You know,
Yeah, it's
because
definitely case by case.
there's always something to learn from someone. I'm not trying to defend him in any way. I'm not. He's a grown ass man with way more money than he's fine.
Oh, he's absolutely fine.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't even mind him testing things out with his body. Like if you're gonna take horse tranquilizer or whatever, like what are you taking it for? What happened? Like did your eyeballs fall out? All right, I'm not gonna do that. You know?
Like give us an honest review of what happened. Because I think, wasn't he
Yeah.
pushing like ivermectin like early
Yeah.
on with COVID?
Yeah.
And that's not to say ivermectin doesn't have uses for human beings. It does. I want to say I was prescribed ivermectin for like a fungal like face thing. My face
Yeah.
is fine. It's all still here. But and this is another story. We don't need to go down that path today. But like the VA, of course, I don't know if you ever had to deal with like VA
Uh-huh.
prescriptions, but
Yeah.
they don't give you everything. You have to ask for the right formulary to be able to get it. So I couldn't even get the ivermectin that I was prescribed. So I
Oh
couldn't even
boy.
tell you if it works or not because I never got it.
Yeah, no, VA is the only reason I have health insurance.
Me too.
Yeah. It's that tough for working in the school department or education department?
So it's not that I couldn't get health insurance through the state of Florida. And that's
Yeah.
actually, I don't have direct experience dealing with health insurance through them, but my best
Yeah.
friend works like 80 feet down the hall from me. He has two kids. His wife doesn't work. And there's different like health situations that they're having to deal with, and single income. So I mean it works really really well for them,
Yeah.
but they do take a portion out of your paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
And not sure how many people know this, but Florida is the lowest paying state for state jobs in the United States, and the DOE is one of the lowest paying agencies in the state of Florida.
Oh my God.
So you're trying to bring home every cent you can,
Yeah.
but not to do like the woe is me thing, but I want to give you an example. And of course, like this affects so many people. But my lease for my apartment just ended a couple months ago. Actually, no, it was this past month.
Yeah.
And I was put in a position where my rent was about to go up 17% from the year before. My
How much was, yeah.
my yearly raise through the DOE was like 3% or something. So my life this year technically is supposed to be worse than it was last year. And that's not even including gas going up, or well, in my case, diesel, because I have a diesel Volkswagen. It's not including groceries going up, which it has. It's not including all the things you want to do for fun going up, like flying somewhere. Because we don't get cheap flights in Tallahassee because we have two airlines here, American and Delta.
Yeah.
In a capital in Florida. Don't get me started on how silly that is. But this is something that so many Americans are dealing with. So I don't think this makes me special. This makes me like everyone else.
It makes you understand. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I what am I trying to say? I got tired of trying to fit into a system that obviously doesn't want me. I don't fit into corporate America. So, all right, cool. So we push. And then I have friends down in LA still that are still in the movie industry and the animation industry and all that stuff. They said, hey, you ever think about coming back and blah, blah, blah. I said, no, I don't want to come back because you work in an industry where they make you play with people's booty holes before you get any break. Before you get a big break, you got like all this Me Too stuff, all this stuff that we see happening. Like we're starting to see it crumble from the top because the people from the top have been applying that much pressure to where they're breaking society and they don't care. And the first thing they want you to do is play with their butthole. And I don't want to.
And to kind of compound what you're saying, I'm not sure it exactly aligns, but I think there's going to be a massive reshuffling taking place in Hollywood. Just to give you two examples, like, have you seen or heard about Obsession, that movie?
The movie?
So it's in theaters right now. It's been out for like 2 months or so. So this movie, I think it was picked up by A24. I might be mistaken on that. But they made it for $750,000, which sounds like a lot to normal people. But for a movie, as you know, that's like nothing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think they've now cleared $200 million. Now, on the other side of the coin, and I'm not saying this as a critic, because I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the film. Like, it's not like a masterpiece, but I saw Masters of the Universe last week, and I really enjoyed it. I really did. But they made it for $200 million. And the first weekend, they made $52 million.
Yeah.
And I think in the industry, to be considered like a success or like not a failure, you have to double your budget, I think, unless that's changed.
No, I think you're right.
So
you have to come out on fire for them to pay attention to you.
And the thing is, unless you're making an Avatar movie at this point, you're not making that crazy money in theaters. And it's not just me saying this. Theaters are working their way towards becoming like a special night out. It's not going to be like, oh, it's Friday, let's go to the movies. It's going to be like going to the theater like Broadway. It's going to get there. Like, the food's expensive. You'll go like Cinnabar or whatever. You'll get your drinks, you'll get your food, and it's going to be like a night out. That's where we're going.
Do you guys have the theaters yet with the recliners and stuff? Yeah.
Thankfully.
Yeah. If you're going to charge me that much, you better get me a recliner.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, those small ass seats. Like, no, I need some space.
But you better be well rested when you go, because you're going to pass out. 100%. It's happened to me a few times.
100%. I've paid good money for some good naps. Yeah.
You've just paid $20 for an hour and a half nap.
And that's just the nap. I'm not even talking about $40 for popcorn and another 15 for a drink. And yeah, like they did it to themselves, and it breaks my heart because I love going to the movies. I love going to the theater. I love getting the popcorn and all the things. I love it.
I even love going by myself. I mean, I prefer to go with a friend,
Me
or
too.
if I'm we're dating someone, but
Sure.
I there's a happy medium about their behavior that will annoy me though. Like if they're asking questions every 5 seconds, or they keep doing, or I'll give you another good example. This is a weird story. Well, maybe not weird, but I was dating someone. We had only gone out like 2 times.
Yeah.
Third date, I brought her to the movies. It was to see, I think, that rock vehicle. It's about Christmas, and he's like trying to help
Oh
Santa.
yeah.
It
Yeah, yeah,
was
yeah.
kind of funny. It wasn't great, but it was kind of
Yeah.
funny. The girl I went with didn't laugh once. And I felt uncomfortable the whole time. Every time I laughed, I'd look over and hope she was laughing, and she was never laughing.
No.
That was our last date. Yep.
Yeah, I've had some like that. Oh, I went on a first date once, and the movie we went to was one of the 9/11 movies.
Michael Moore, or you're talking about like a reenactment type?
Yeah, did it have Nicolas Cage in it maybe? It
Flight
was one of
93? No,
those
not
where
Flight
there was like
93.
the firefighters and all right. So either way, it was one of those 9/11 movies that reflected back, and it so I'm sitting here next to this woman that I just met crying like someone stole my purse. That was our last date too.
There's a sanctity of a movie theater, and there's like kind of like a tunnel of where acceptable behavior lives. If you go
Yeah.
outside that tunnel,
Yeah.
you're not coming back.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, this is at least a better
Anyway.
thing to stress about than the stresses of real life. Because the stresses of real life, you can't really control them. You can only really control the way you react to them. You know, whether it's what's going on in the Middle East, what's going on with ICE in the US. I mean, what's going on with people starving everywhere, global warming. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many reasons to be depressed. So it's got to find
Yeah.
ways to, yeah.
But I want people to take that point and realize that things are very real and things are very touchy. But I also want you to understand that the benefit of everything that's happening. For example, Adam and I are sitting here talking, sharing thoughts and ideas and telling stories and laughing and talking about crying. But we haven't been able to do this. We would have to wait to see if this conversation would unravel on CNN or Meet the Press or something like that. That's the benefit. The benefit is everyone is starting to tap in, and they're starting to understand that what's happening on C-SPAN is directly affecting my life. And then, you know, you see all these, this is the Trump dance, my bad. You see, you see all of these protests and stuff. And then you go to a protest and you're starting to meet people that think the same way. And you're starting to meet people that are tired of the status quo and how the path that we're on and how it just doesn't work.
Absolutely.
And we're able to get together and talk it out, come up with some ideas, and talk about this ICE pledge that Adam is going to talk about in a couple minutes, and all the movements that are happening. And you don't have to go through like a Wolf Blitzer kind of thing. All his folks that show up there, they pay to be there, and whatever it is that they do, I don't know. But the fact that two normal guys can get together and now we're networking, and then we continue to network and continue to bring attention to everyone else who's pissed off.
Absolutely. I mean, the exchange of ideas is what makes us human. It is. And I think that's a massive issue as to how we've kind of devolved to the point where we're at, because we're so polarized now. And I'm not saying there aren't reasons. Of course there are. But we got to find ways to communicate with each other, because we're going to have to live with each other unless that civil war I talked about happens, which I'm not like hoping for, but
it's unnecessary. The writing is on the wall. We see everything clearly. We see that it's not a right and left issue, because people on the right, people on the left all basically want the same thing. We want clean water. We want kids that aren't idiots. We want people to afford groceries. We want to live a good life. The fundamentals are there. It's just communicating with each other to say, hey, maybe rich people don't have your best interest in mind when they run for office.
I mean, they don't. At least most, I would say. Yeah. I think there's a possibility you can have other people's best interests in mind. Like, I was from afar, and I'm not saying I think he was a perfect candidate, but I was polling for Tom Steyer in California because I thought he was. There you go. So, I mean, I don't need to convince you, but
yeah.
I mean, Becerra, I think, what is he getting supported by, like every corporation under the sun? And he's basically just was the next one up after Swalwell, his whole situation.
It goes to show you it's not just the ones on the right.
No.
We got creepy boys everywhere.
I would say they're probably less. Well, I would say in the political class, it's probably less. In the billionaire class, it is not less. I would say there's no left and right in the billionaire class. Like they have their pet projects, but the people who play with the billionaire class, they don't really have a left and right. They have an up top, and they have everyone else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a game. At a certain level, it's a game. How many of these chips can I collect?
Yeah.
They're not worried about making the world a better place. They're not worried about making clean energy. They're not worried about the air you breathe. It's a game. It's all a game of numbers.
For every Ted Turner, there's like 100 Elon Musks.
Yeah.
I don't know how much you know about Ted Turner. He was like a genuinely decent guy, who just built up his company from like nothing, and he did so much humanitarian work, and he just actually died, I think it was a few weeks ago, and actually only like a county or two away from where I am.
Oh, wow.
But the thing is, he's not the rule of billionaires. He's the exception to the rule.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I want someone with a soul without the confinements of without the financial confinements. Yeah. That's what I thought Tom Steyer was bringing to the table. I thought, people are like, "Oh, but he's a billionaire." And I know a lot of really good rich people that take pride in building companies that then feed and sustain families, like other people's families. That's their approach to life, is we win, right? But at a certain level, or it takes a certain personality type, like an Elon Musk, to say, hey, look, we can flip rockets, but yet we have American kids in the streets, hungry, not going to school.
If he wanted to, he could completely eradicate at least one issue, like on his own, without any help from anyone else. And he would rather, be a playboy, get a flamethrower, blow up another rocket, have another love child from his like 38th baby mama, whatever. Who knows even how many it is at this point.
We call that ratchet behavior.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what's ruining it for the billionaires. I don't have a problem with you being a billionaire if you are turning around to see who else needs help. Not another billionaire. You have to turn around and take a look at where you come from. Like Malcolm X said, all these people are slumlords. And
I mean, Jared
everybody's used to
Kushner literally
working under a
was.
slumlord.
I mean, Jared Kushner literally was.
Donald Trump and Fred Trump were.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There are some stories from,
slumlords.
I think Jared Kushner owned like a series of buildings. I don't know if it was only in Maryland, but I know there were quite a few in like I think parts of Baltimore.
Yeah.
And there are some stories that are, wow. Like they would do construction in spaces outside of apartments at like 2 a.m. so often that people would move out because they were rent controlled.
Yeah.
And then when they move out, they do like a couple little tinkering things, and then they would jack up the rent.
Yeah. Is that, I'm trying to remember, I think it might be called Dirty Money on Netflix.
I think that might be where I saw that.
I think so too. And if you guys haven't seen it, there's a documentary series on Netflix called Dirty Money, and they explain how Trump is just terrible. They explain how the Kushners are terrible. They explain how HSBC would deal with illegal activity just to get the money in their bank.
And that's not even getting into the three big, hedge funds? What is it, State Street? The three of BlackRock, and there's one other one. And the three of them collectively basically own like half of our country. They have their hands in everything. Yeah. And everything they own, the other two own pieces of the other one, what they own. So they're almost like an incestuous, like triple relationship with each other. Like they're just constantly in each other's shit with each other.
What is that called? That's not monogamous. There's a polyamorous. They're polyamorous.
They're a tripod together.
Yeah, but, and then add to the fact that all these folks are kicking in to the government so they can influence elections and they can influence decision-making process. How do we get money out of politics?
I was going to say, so when earlier we were talking about like billionaires and their existence and whatnot, I would say probably the main reason billionaires shouldn't exist. And I think in a perfect world, if billionaires existed, like, you know, they were doing good things for people, they weren't trying to buy elections, sure. But that's just not reality. And the vast majority of them don't behave like the way we want them to.
Right.
So when there's people like Elon Musk who can spend, I think what he spent like 350 million on Trump. Sheldon and his wife, Adelson, are both dual citizens. And they basically gave Trump, I think it was $200 million, with it being very explicit quid pro quo that we want the West Bank to get annexed. That was what they paid for.
Ugh.
And they even had Sheldon Adelson died. His wife, what is it, Miriam? I think it's Miriam Adelson.
Miriam. Mm-hmm.
They had her in the White House. And Trump, you know, he does his little jokey stuff, whatever. Yeah. And he asked her, like, oh, who do you care about more? Israel or all that too? Who do you care more about, Israel or United States? And she said Israel, like in the White House.
Yeah. And that's the same lady that said, if you run again in 2028, I'll give you another 200 million, 250 million, something like that.
Of course. I mean, they haven't finished annexing the West Bank yet.
Yeah.
So the project's only started.
As a Jewish guy, how do you see that? Like, how do you process everything that's happening in Israel?
So, a great deal of Jewish identity, and this is kind of it's rooted in oppression in the past. And I
Mm-hmm.
would say not as much of myself, but of my descendants, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know, 3, 4 generations ago. We had
Mm-hmm.
family on especially my mother's side, who never made it home from the camps.
Yeah.
And never again is a legitimate thing. Like, and the
Right.
fact is, but and I'll come back to that. But
Sure.
so it shouldn't be abused and used to basically say we deserve protection that others don't get. Like, never again means never again for anyone.
Yeah.
So that would mean that the the one that Turkey did to the Armenians, the genocide,
Yeah.
shouldn't have happened. Like, all these, there's so many other instances where governments have done these just completely indefensible things. I mean, Japan to China in Nanking. There's so many examples. So it's not like we are necessarily special in that respect, but now we've basically spun this, and it's not even mostly Jews, it's mostly Christians, which is the most bizarre part. People really don't realize how many Zionists that are not Jewish are in the United States. There's about 5 million Jewish Zionists, give or take, maybe less,
Yeah.
maybe a little more. There's about 50 million Christian Zionists in the United States. Yeah, exactly. And they
So
have
the
like secret societies where they're like getting Supreme Court justices appointed. It goes deep. And it sounds like a conspiracy, but it's not. You can track all of this.
Yeah. And go back to the conversation, not the conversation, but the speech that th- this is what pisses me off about Florida and their book banning thing. Ugh. There's so much information out there that you guys are getting banned from. And I'm not saying that the speech that John F. Kennedy made, where he talked about secret societies and stuff like that. I'm not necessarily talking about that being banned, but he was telling you the truth, that there are these secret societies that do things. Well, one of them, they take kids to islands. There's another one.
Epstein.
There's another one where they invest and they buy Supreme Court justices. And then it's only obvious that they buy politicians. They tell you outright, and they're changing the rules. They're changing the rules that should benefit the citizens to only benefit a small subsection of the citizens, the rich
Well, of
people.
course. I mean, in many ways, we are living in a uniparty system.
Yeah.
So I'm calling this like a weatherman who knows 100% what the weather's going to be. But, like, let's just say the elections go off without a hitch and Democrats take the House, even if they take the Senate. They're going to push impeachment, which I don't blame them for doing. But of course, it's going to die in the Senate like it did the other, what, 2 times, 3 times, whatever it was,
Mm-hmm.
because they're never
Mm-hmm.
going to get the 60 votes they need. So that'll be like a few months long process to basically avoid pushing legislation to get through the House and Senate. And of course, very unlikely they will kill the filibuster, even though people want it killed. Basically, the reason I say all this is they've had opportunities where they've had the power to push legislation to get things done. But it's far easier to be at a position of weakness and say, I need your donations. Otherwise, we can't fight back against this oppressive force. Looking at you, Chuck Schumer. So when we retake the House and potentially the Senate, they're going to posture like they're doing good work. And I hope I'm wrong. I don't think I'm going to be, but that's what's going to happen. And I really hope when 2028 comes around and potentially we have a Democrat in the White House, that this doesn't just get repeated in the same way that we wasted a supermajority in both houses with Obama. It
Yeah.
was wasted.
Yeah, for real. What's your real quick? What's your reasoning behind, or reasoning might be the wrong word, but when the
Inspiration?
Republicans
Oh,
when the Republicans have control, they don't care. They tear everything up and they move fast and break things. And the Democrats, they just sit there and do insider trading. Like I don't know.
they're process warriors.
Yeah.
The Democrats are great, not all, but a lot of them are process warriors. Like, look at the criticism you're seeing from them on Iran. You're seeing some Democrats, and they're in Florida, at least one or two of them, and they're upset of the way Iran is going based on the process, the fact that it didn't go through the process of the House with like a war powers resolution. They're
Mm-hmm.
not pushing back on the fact that we're
That they're committing genocide.
exactly, or the fact that they're destroying the global marketplace. Like, this is completely unnecessary and created, and it's what Israel's wanted for 4 decades.
Can you point to one thing that helps the decisions being made and how they're
The
being made?
Well, I mean,
APAC,
corporations. Yeah,
APAC.
well, yeah, and it's not just them. Like, there's others as well. Like DMFI, Democrat Majority for Israel, is another one. Now they're making these like hokey PACs. I know there was one
Yeah.
in Illinois. What is it? Elect Chicago Women or something, or
Oh,
Elect
really?
Democratic Women. That was an APAC instrument, basically,
Yeah.
because they know how toxic they are, and they're not even getting candidates that they support to run on supporting Israel. They use that money to attack other candidates that they know are not supporting Israel on issues that have nothing to do with Israel.
Yeah.
So, like, they realize that the end is near in American politics for Israel, because the thing is with Republicans, if you're under 45, you're over it as well. This is
Yeah.
just the time is running out for them. So I think they're trying to do their liquidation sale and get as much as they can while they still can from us.
Yeah. I can see that. I can see that. So how's that work though? Because you have something similar, whether it's APAC, DMFI, whatever, all these organizations. How does that work? Do they have? When I learn more and more about APAC, I think of like all the movie industry in Hollywood and how there's a lot of Jewish folks down there and they're making a lot of money off of entertainment. So they then what? They give like 10% of their salary to this group and then they divvy it up amongst the politicians. Is that generally how it works?
So I'm sure there are some like of these like more wealthy individuals that are giving directly to candidates, but like the
Mm-hmm.
thing is there's limitations depending on where you are. Like I
Yeah.
think if I recall, Texas has no limitation on how much you can give someone. Like you could give someone $100 million like right into their campaign account.
Oh, Texas.
I mean, John Cornyn, believe, was considered the best fundraiser for Republicans, and he's not going to be in the Senate anymore.
Burp,
And
burp.
I and I think he voted with Trump like 94, 95% of the time, but like he didn't want to roll over on the SAFE Act, like, so they could basically make it virtually impossible for people in lower socioeconomic status to vote, because like we don't all have access to
Oh yeah.
identification as easily.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
he wouldn't roll over on that, and he didn't want to do the nuclear option with the Senate because then he thought it would have passed. So that was what backing that lunatic was regarding. Ken Paxton. Ooh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah,
shit show.
yeah.
I know
Yeah.
people are getting upset about Graham Plattner, and there's some valid reason to get upset about Graham Plattner's past. My biggest thing is the mercenary stuff. But Ken Paxton is significantly worse than Graham Plattner is on his worst day.
Yeah. Yeah, it's more of the same. He's more of the same. He's more of this uh, these business guys that go around and a lot like what we've been talking about. They think because they have a little extra money and they have this power, they think that they can get away with weird things. And Paxson was one of those guys. He was one of those guys.
I mean, I don't want to throw allegations around, but there
Yeah.
was, I don't remember the guy's name, but I think this was back a couple of years ago. And it was found out that he had been engaging in sexual assault with underage, like, children. And Ken Paxton, as I think it was what, the state attorney general, he tried to give him like time served and 1 day
Yeah.
for raping children. I'm not even sure how many it was. And the judge was like, nope, he's going to get 60 days, which still is not enough. But
Yeah. I'm so tired of that.
if Tallarico doesn't beat Ken Paxton in Texas, that's another thing that people might be like, whoa, is this real?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you legitimately have a church boy going against the dude that will
The
do
devil.
dirty things. Yeah, like thank you.
And the things he's attacking him over are the most silly things, like calling him a vegan, which, like, if you're a vegan, okay, whatever. More steak for me.
Yeah.
Like Talafrico, they started selling the shirts and people love it. Then
They're
they
saying-
started attacking him over his, like, partners, and they're like, he's dating, like, gorgeous women.
And then, yeah,
So, like,
and then he came out with like what this really cute girl.
yeah. And I don't know. Like, you're giving him a runway to look good in every way you attack him.
Yeah.
But, like, the thing is, it's really, a lot of this is going to come down to if the black vote shows up for him. Like, if Jasmine Crockett fully gets behind him and supports him, like, authentically, he has a good chance. But, like, the thing is she going to do that?
No, oh, so she hasn't.
I think she said, like, we're going to work to get him elected, but, like, it doesn't seem like it's a full-throated endorsement.
Yeah.
Because I think she feels like she was cheated, which I don't agree with.
Yeah. I don't know. I know about what's been happening down there, and I knew about Tallarico and Jasmine and all the things, but I don't know enough about the chemistry between those two and their campaigns to know if they're supportive of each other. I don't know that much.
I would
I hope
imagine
they
at least
are.
generally,
Yeah.
but I mean, the thing is, Crockett was kind of propped up as, like, almost like another AOC, and then she ran off to Missouri and endorsed the AIPAC stooge who knocked out Cory Bush. I forget his name. He's got like the super curly hair. I don't remember his name, but yeah, he's the one who took, I think he took like millions from AIPAC and knocked out Cory Bush.
I'm going to take a look real quick.
Webster? Is that the name?
Wesley Bell, maybe?
Wesley Bell. Yep, that's him.
Defeated incumbent. Yeah. Okay.
So Jasmine Crockett, like a week or two ago, went to Missouri and endorsed him, like hand in hand. So when you do things like that and you're supporting such despicable politicians, do you really? So basically, I guess the reason I mention that is the criticism of her was founded. It was warranted.
Yeah. I didn't realize that Cory Bush had gotten kicked out. I wish Hakeem Jeffries would get kicked out.
So
He's
speaking of
just-
that, there was a really good candidate, and I'm spacing on his name at the moment, which doesn't bode well for me calling him a really good candidate, but He was petitioning to get on the ballot, to running as a Democrat in New York, in his district in Brooklyn, and his petitions got challenged, and he did not make the ballot. But he did take the pledge to abolish ICE.
Was it? Was it? I'm sorry for not even remembering. We interact on Instagram. If it's the one that I think is Vance Bostic.
Yes.
Yeah, Vance is amazing.
Very nice guy, and he was energized. Like he was really doing the work. And not only that, his pledge was probably one of the most viewed pledges that we've had, and that was significantly earlier on when we had a much smaller base, and we're still not like super big, but it people have a massive interest in getting rid of Hakeem Jeffries.
Yeah. I don't agree with United States leadership when they're up on stage. Not that Hakeem did this, but I'm not convinced that he hasn't either. But like a Chuck Schumer, you're a leader of the United States, and we have you on stage saying that Israel is your number one focus.
I want to say, I'm
then why are
paraphrasing, but
you
he said,
here?
I need to keep progressives supporting Israel, I think is what he said. I'm not even
Yeah.
sure he said Democrats. I think he said progressives, which was
I'm good.
like, the thing is, do a simple thought experiment. Imagine he said Russia or Japan. I mean, any country. It doesn't even matter. Like, why is your main concern another country?
Yeah. Yeah. Would McDonald's ever say, hey, wouldn't you rather have a Burger King burger?
Definitely not.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And they're doing it. They're playing in our face. They're playing in our face. They're telling you that, oh, no, it's okay. Things are fine. Things are going to be fine. Things are going to be great. Vote for me, all this stuff. They get millions of dollars to run for Congress and take the seat. Your kids are going to broken down schools. Sorry, Hakeem.
And they're going to, and to be clear, Chuck Schumer will show up and give his, whatever stump speech he's created for these events. And I can tell you this from experience. When I lived in New York and I graduated from John Jay, I forget what year it was exactly. I think it was 2017. He spoke at my graduation.
Yeah.
And it was the same speech I'd actually heard like once or twice before that. He tells basically the same speech, I think. But so he gives the lip service, and that's, unfortunately, there's too many people that see him getting out and smiling, and he's like friendly. He's very friendly to your face.
Yeah. All politicians are.
Of course. Well, nowadays, not necessarily. I would only say now, like in the Trump era now, like the lip service, like the plastic. Yes, it's. I mean, I would say that's the only thing I appreciate is I feel like people are less about being fake to your face now than they were.
Yeah.
So, but is it giving better results, like for what people want, or is it not? Remains to be seen.
Yeah. So you mentioned that Vance Bostic took the pledge, and the pledge that we're talking about, everyone, to get you caught up, is the Abolish ICE pledge.
Yes, sir.
How did that come to be?
So, you would be a firsthand account of this. Gavin Newsom, when he got reelected, what was it, like 2 years ago as governor? One of his primary campaign promises was California single-payer health care, or what would be a California version of single-payer health care. A bill for California single-payer health care got through both houses and got to his desk. He vetoed it. So that's not the only example, of course, of a politician making a promise that they roll back on when they have every ability not to, or the ability to actually enact it. So we're so used to hearing lip service, as I was mentioning before, and sloganeering and all these different things, like people saying basically whatever they think they need to say to get elected. I just thought this is one of the biggest issues of our time, and of course seeing people being ripped away from their families, people being put in what are essentially concentration camps. I don't know if you've seen Alligator Alcatraz. That's another shit show. So seeing all of this going on and seeing politicians, not just Democrats, but well, mostly Democrats, because Republicans will do whatever Trump says at this point, but seeing them just not doing nearly enough to want to fix the situation. So I just thought, what can I possibly do as someone who is not a billionaire, who doesn't have all the access to politicians like others do?
You mean a member of the education department in Florida is not doing Scrooge McDuck?
I definitely don't have a pool of gold coins to dive into. Do not. It would probably hurt too.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I just, forgive me, I'm going to make a reference that is a millennial. Maybe other millennials will know. You ever watch The West Wing?
Yeah.
So later on the show, when I forget the guy's name, he was running for president as Democrat, and he was getting killed in the polls, and he decided they only had enough money for one ad. And they decided, I'm going to look into the camera and be honest, authentic, and say, I approve this message because like it's actually me talking to you. So I guess you could say that was the inspiration for like the way I wanted to make this a vessel to hopefully do some good.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how we came to the point of having candidates who are running for federal office basically speaking into the camera, taking the pledge on camera, so you know you can hold them accountable. So like let's say they get elected a year and a half, whatever from now, legislation comes up for abolishing ICE or restricting funding to ICE or anything like that to curb the scourge of ICE, and they vote against it. Well, we now have on video them saying, I will take this pledge with points 1, 2, 3, and 4, and they just violated that. They're going to have hell to pay moving forward. They're not going to be able to talk their way out of that like they have in the past for other things.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the idea.
Is there like a financial benefit to them taking the pledge?
So we do list every candidate on our website, and I'll of course give the website link in a second, like mention it. But there is a scroll of all the candidates that have taken the pledge on our website.
Yeah.
And so people have every opportunity to go to and it's a direct link to their campaign page. Okay. So I don't know we don't track how many people go to our website, then go to their campaign page, but it is letting people know who has taken the pledge, who has made the bold decision to stand up for their neighbors.
Awesome.
And
so it's like a shortcut. It's a shortcut for people that are looking for a candidate in their area that are promising to vote to abolish ICE once they make it into office.
Correct.
Right.
And I want to be very clear about abolishing ICE. First of all, we are not supporting open borders. That is like the number one question, or I would say more criticism, not a question, criticism that I see from, I don't know if they're trolls or real people or not, who knows. And that's not what we're pushing for. We're pushing for a humane immigration system, but we still are going to have like an immigration system. We still are going to have some degree of enforcement, not enforcement the way the American Gestapo is doing it. Yes, I mean both words of that, the American Gestapo, like they're doing a lot of the same things the Gestapo were doing. Yeah. But that can't happen. But where was I?
When you take it, when you, let me say this because you just got done saying something that triggered a memory.
Yeah.
The Gestapo, if you don't know, was basically Hitler's ICE.
I mean, almost like identically.
Right.
They would just grab people off the street, politicians, like Jews. Basically, if they wanted to make you a target, they were just going to grab you, and there was nothing you could do. There was no due process. Also
Yeah.
happening. People were
Yeah.
getting disappeared. Also
Also
happening.
happening.
People are being put in concentration camps. Also happening. Some people, if they fought back, got killed. Also happening.
Yeah.
So,
And this is what blew my mind when I learned that the Gestapo and the Nazis were that vicious after studying the American South. They took the lead, or they took their lead from everything that we were doing to black folks here.
yeah, Jim Crow.
Yeah.
Jim Crow, the amount of societies that kind of followed through with that kind of idea and just built upon it is wild. And we're still to this day, of course, still trying to put those flames out that still exist.
Yeah. And South Africa was one of those. And look who's buying up the country. It's Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, all those guys from South Africa that grew up in apartheid. Apartheid is their way of saying Jim Crow.
Well, not only that, they're essentially trying to say the white Afrikaners are being genocided. First of all, that's come on. But I want to say, since Trump basically shut the border down, I heard Mehdi Hassan say this on the PBD, Patrick Bet David podcast.
Mm-hmm.
He said they've let in 6,069 people. 6,066 of them are white.
Mm-hmm. From South Africa.
Yes.
Isn't that crazy? And you're talking about a president whose wife is over here on a genius visa. What is it? The Einstein visa?
Something like that.
She speaks like 1.5 languages. Like, it's so weird.
I contemplated watching the documentary that like they made with Amazon. That was definitely money laundering, by the way. It was like $80 million to make a documentary.
100%.
And not to go too far off the rails here, but I'm actually producing a documentary right now, and we're going to make it for probably around 15 to 20 grand, which is very little. But you don't need $80 million to make a documentary unless you're going into space itself.
Yeah, especially if the person you're making the documentary, especially if the person you're making the documentary about is still around. It's not like you have to just ask her questions. Oh yeah, and then you go ask her husband some questions.
And she has all the access. Like, she doesn't have to pay for access for anyone. Like, she has all the resources at her disposal. It's money laundering.
Yeah. Tell me about your documentary.
Sure. And I will say, my best friend that I mentioned earlier, his name is Bobby, the one who works like 80 feet down the hallway from me.
Yeah.
So he's actually the director, writer, one of the other producers. But it's coming out this fall. So it's called Carter Country. And it's essentially the story of how a little town of about 650 people lifted Jimmy Carter up to become president in 1976.
So it's possible.
It was once. When what was once possible, of course, could be possible again. But it was a very different society at the time. There's no social media, no cell phones, none of that stuff.
Yeah.
But it did prove one thing. It proved that a community united with a central idea, with a purpose, can accomplish anything.
Yeah.
And about 95% or so of the town, in some capacity, worked on his campaign.
That's so nice. So cool.
So
it's, again, it is possible. We have a lot of examples of when a community, whether it's a small town or an entire nation, if we wanted to make things better, we can. It's possible.
Collective action. It works.
Yeah. And stop letting all these rich folks that have everything that are laughing at you struggle. Stop letting them tell you what's possible and not possible.
Well, for one, the thing that they're most afraid of, like the elite class, like the wealthy, and definitely at least some of the political elite, they're afraid of us getting on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
They are petrified of us being organized, because organizing well is always going to work better than spending money.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's hard.
Because the community is focused on what needs to be fixed, and they can then leverage the money to fix what needs to be fixed.
I mean, there's a few examples that come to mind. Like AOC, I believe, was outspent like 20-1 when she won her first race.
Yeah.
But she had a like an activist background. She was an organizer. Like, she was not just a bartender, which there's nothing wrong with being a bartender, but you know, she actually lived in district, which her opponent did not. I'm spacing on his name, Irish guy, but like his kids didn't go to school in the district, because the districts, a lot of it is not. It's the Bronx and it's Queens, so a lot of that district is not like that nice. Like it needs work.
Yeah.
So, but like the thing is, this is just evidence that it can happen, but it's not easy. You got to have someone who knows how to activate those people. And once you do, anything is possible.
Yeah. And collaboration with organizations like yours is huge too.
Absolutely.
So what you're doing is very valuable.
We are just one portion of what I would say are all the planks that quality candidates and representatives need to sufficiently serve the population, serve us. 'Cause that's what they're there to do. Like, we shouldn't get caught up in like this vanity process that I'm sure many of them go to feel important, or so they have like a mouthpiece they can constantly speak into. But ultimately, they are representing us. And that's the only way the system effectively works.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're struggling, there's someone to talk to say,
absolutely,
hey, fix this.
And they should be talking to you without doing this.
Yeah.
Because we know, I forget, Byron Donalds is running for governor, just as another example. He, at a private fundraiser, it wasn't him, it was like, I guess, who was throwing it for him, was basically calling people in that room investors. And basically, essentially saying, yep. So, like, if Joe Schmo, who's donated $11,000 to a candidate, calls you, they're answering the phone. They're not letting it go to voicemail. If I'm calling, which obviously I don't have their phone number, like, or cell phone number, like Joe Schmo does, I'm calling the office. Exactly.
And they're not doing roundtables anymore.
No. There's very few candidates. I mean, there are definitely, I would say, insurgent candidates that are proposing to do more town halls. We have a candidate in Arkansas. I feel bad. I'm forgetting names so much today. But there's a candidate in Arkansas who has done, I want to say, like 5 or 6 town halls as a candidate. And his opponent, who's an incumbent, has done, I don't believe they've done any in years. So,
and is a Republican.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah.
They feel safe. Well, I mean, what's the need to do more work if they don't have to?
Yeah. And you know what's funny? The more I talk to folks of means, it's them that says, oh, we don't need anything like a universal basic income, or we don't need anything like that because it's going to make people not want to work.
Lazy.
And I think to myself, bitch, you don't want to work.
A lot of these people didn't make their wealth by any means of their own. They are just living off of what their parents, grandparents, well, definitely many more years in the past than that created. I mean, Elon Musk didn't start with nothing. He started with millions.
Yeah, a gem mine.
That's another story. But for every Oprah Winfrey, there's like, I don't know, I think like 90 or 95% of billionaires like came from wealth.
Yeah. Yeah. It. Yeah. Oprah. We got. There's a couple. There's a couple stories in there too. But
I was gonna say, because you live, she's from Illinois, right?
I think she's from down south, but she moved
Gotcha.
up to Chicago. And when she moved to Chicago, that's where she took off. That's where
Gotcha.
she found her greatness. Listen, Chicago is the best. I know I don't live there anymore, but I don't even care. I'm allergic to the weather, but
It gets cold.
I love it there, and it's a really good spot. Like Oprah moving there and staying motivated and blowing up the way that she did is not a surprise to me coming out of Chicago.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
just, everything is there.
I do like the city, but I will push back on one thing associated with Chicago:
Tell me.
pizza.
It depends. It depends.
But I want to be clear when I say this. I'm not saying it's bad. It's different, but I don't think Chicago pizza, like the deep dish pizza, is really pizza. I would say it's casserole,
Yeah.
which is fine. I have no issue with people liking it, but
That's why
I'm
we
a
always
purist.
tell people.
Yeah.
We always tell people it's kind of like going to whatever roller coaster place you like to go to. For example, just north of Chicago, there's Six Flags Great America. You go to Six Flags Great America, you have to get on the American Eagle. You have to, right?
I've been there.
Is it? Yeah. Is the American Eagle like the craziest? And no, it's a wooden roller coaster. But you just have to try it, right? So in Chicago, yeah, go ahead and have a slice of deep dish, but don't be afraid of the thin crust. Thin crust in Chicago is amazing.
I mean, the food in general is amazing.
Yeah.
I went to the Italian restaurant that Al Capone used to eat at. I don't recall the name. I think it was near the financial district or in the financial district.
Mm-hmm.
And I had one of the best veal parms I've ever had.
I almost said Scaramucci, but it's not that. It's I'll think of it. Yeah, that was also my mom's favorite spot. They closed it a little.
Oh, it's not open anymore.
I don't think so. If it's the place that I think it is, I think it might be closed now. But I could be.
shame.
I could be wrong. He also hung out at this really cool jazz place up on the north side called the Green Mill, and they have like in that area, a lot of those buildings are connected by like secret tunnels and stuff.
Whoa, that's cool.
Because Al Capone would be in the Green Mill, and then the cops, someone would say, "Hey, cops," and he'd run in the back and then go into one of the tunnels and take off.
That could be where he got syphilis. The Green Mill.
Yeah. Green Mill is still there, and I don't think that they've ever had syphilis outbreak. So I'm going to go ahead and say,
Well,
it was
I'm not.
probably.
I'm not trying to get sued by the Green Mill if they hear this. I was joking, tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
But
No, Green Mill.
but I
is
think
a
that's how he
wonderful
died,
place.
isn't it? Didn't he? He died of syphilis in prison.
Yeah, he died out here in Alcatraz. Yeah.
Crazy.
Wild. And if you go to Alcatraz, or you go to one of the tours, I highly recommend it. It's so cool. They have these little radios that you listen to, and they'll say, "Come up here and make a right or make a left," and then they tell you about that little area, and then you go around and they tell you about that little area, and then they'll take you in, and then they say, "Look up and over there, and the number blah blah blah," and the gate the cell is still open, but that you can see his cell and everything. It's pretty
That's
cool.
wild.
It's pretty cool.
I actually went there once or twice when I was in the Navy. They brought our ship, and I was on the Nimitz, so like a very famous ship,
Oh,
for
nice.
its 75th or not no for the 75th anniversary of the Golden Gate Bridge. They had our ship underneath the bridge, and they took a photo.
Oh,
So if you were to
sick.
look up USS Nimitz, Golden Gate Bridge 75th anniversary, I'm like an ant on the flight deck.
Well, first of all, thanks for your service.
Of course,
Even though it was the Navy, thank you for your service.
I was a seaman. Yep.
What was it? Were you in? Yeah, you were in Florida at this time. What was it that made you want to serve, or that made you enlist, at least?
So part of it was wanting to see the world.
Yeah.
Part of it. Another part, I was in eighth grade when 9/11 happened.
Oh, damn. Okay.
So I mean, I remember the class I was in, my teacher, Miss Will's class in science. It was a science class. I remember all that. Like that. I feel like generationally we have different moments that are like that. Like for my mother, it's like JFK dying, or
Yeah.
being assassinated, not dying. Well, he did die too, but so that's like our JFK, and I didn't necessarily grow up with that as the intention the whole time,
Hmm.
but it kind of became an idea when, silly enough, at a car show I went to, there was a booth and they had like swag or whatever, they're giving out free stuff.
Hmm.
And they were
Hmm.
talking to a friend of mine at the time. We haven't spoken in years, but they were talking to a friend of mine, and they convinced us to look into the process. And one thing led to another, and I ended up signing up originally to be a reservist, but then they talked me into changing to active duty because my ASVAB score was high enough to be a
Yeah.
nuclear engineer.
Attaboy.
Did not finish all the training for being a nuclear engineer because I do not love math. they, that's another story. But I didn't tell my parents because I knew they would talk me out of it. My cousin is actually the one who told my parents, like
Damn.
a few weeks before I was going to go. It was, yeah.
Damn. How did they react?
My mom was petrified. My
Yeah.
father was angry. And let's also be clear, as a young Jew, you don't join the military. You go to school. You get a white
Yeah.
collar job, accountant, doctor, dentist, whatever.
Yeah.
So I was basically saying, status quo, nah.
Yeah. I'm very similar. I don't like status quo, but my reasoning was I was tired of being poor. I was just like, this sucks, dude. And the recruiter said, "You tired of being poor?" I said, "Yep." He said, "If you go to the military, when you get out, you get housing assistance, you get schooling assistance, all this stuff." I said, and he said, "You get health care, all the things." I was like, "Oh,
GI Bill.
GI Bill, yep." I said, "Yep, let's do it then. Let's do it." Because I could see at 16, I could see where starting to build that scaffolding was important, and being in the military and having health care and school and all that stuff is part of the scaffolding, you know. And then, I've always loved the United States. But then once you serve, you're like, all right, cool. This is my home. I have to protect my home. I have to make sure that things go right. Yeah, and now talking to you guys, especially the veterans. I know for a fact that I did the right thing, even though for the first the first reason was because I was poor. But then I fell in love with my country. And now I
It's
want to
cert-
do now I want to do anything I can.
it certainly opens doors that you didn't have before, and I very much understand why people do it. It is, but I will also say at the same time, it's a shame that people feel desperate enough to the point where that's your only option.
Yeah.
I mean, I have no problem with someone wanting to join the military if that's what they want, and they've done the due diligence to make sure, to actually make an informed decision.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. But if you're coming from like a poor neighborhood and you see that as your only way out, that's a shame. It really is.
That's a reflection on leadership.
And this
I
is
should
the wealthiest country in the world.
I mean, and we know it's going to work because we're paying for healthcare and education and all the things over in Israel.
We have every ability to make things work far better than they do. I mean, the money is there, and money. What is money even based off of at this point anyway?
I know. I know. It's not based on gold. It's not based on anything. It's based on, hey, I have this good or service. How much would you be willing to pay for it?
It's not like it used to be, whereas like the butcher was the wealthiest person in town because they had the thing that everyone needed the most.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever seen Fiddler on the Roof.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
They were trying to set her up with the butcher, and he's like, I don't know, in his 50s or whatever. She's like, I don't want to marry the butcher. I'm in love. Or, I don't know. I'm such a Jew. To mention Fiddler on the Roof.
It's a good one though.
It's a classic.
It's a good one. Yeah. I'm trying to remember. I think we watched it in class once. And then I watched it again later, not in class, because when you went to class and the teacher pushed in the TV, you get a certain amount of time. So you get to watch Fiddler on the Roof at like 20, 25 minutes of a pop, So
I mean, it's time you're not spending doing work.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. So Neighbors Not Numbers Coalition.
Correct.
How did that come about? Actually, before we go there, have you always been politically minded and politically motivated?
I wouldn't say always,
Yeah.
but I mean, I would say one of the probably bigger turning points of my life was when I was actually in the Navy. And if you remember the Arab Spring in Egypt,
Mm-hmm.
all of that going on and just seeing the unrest. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that their politicians just were not listening to them at all. Like
Yeah.
Mubarak. And that's a state that has a lot of control over their people. And like seeing people rise up in a way, there's a really good documentary. I believe it's called The Square. If you haven't seen it, definitely recommend it. I want to say it's called The Square. But basically, it's like the square. It's almost like their Times Square, like the busiest part of town, and they occupied it. And that's where, I mean, they were completely visible. So it spread around the country. Like there were times at which there were like hundreds of thousands of people congregating in the square, being a community, actually working together to try to make change. And it didn't make all the change they were hoping for because they ended up having like a phony election and different things ended up
Oh
happening.
man.
It was a guy who basically ran the military, if I recall correctly. But they put them on notice. So seeing all of that happen and being in the military and seeing, of course, like other things that were wrong happening, I knew I needed to be more engaged.
Yeah.
So when I moved to New York, I moved to New York in 2013, like August. Went to school. I got more engaged in my community when I moved to Bay Ridge in Brooklyn, in New York. And I saw that we had a representative who was not doing town halls, like I mentioned before. And I started raising issues. And then eventually it got to a point where it's like, no one else is running against her. She's a Republican. There was no Democrat running. She wasn't opposed at all the cycle before, which is every 2 years.
Yeah.
So I decided, fuck it. I'm going to run. And it was really, like you dip your toe in the water.
Yeah.
I dove.
Yeah.
I dove in.
How'd you do?
If I remember correctly, I got 39.8% of the vote.
Yeah. It's not bad.
So
you came in second.
No shame. Well,
I know.
I came in last. It's the same as the second. Yep. But I mean, I knew it was a massively uphill battle. But I mean, on election night, there's a moment where you start to believe maybe this is possible.
Yeah.
Just maybe. And that's the same year AOC got elected, by the way.
Oh, wow. Cool.
So, I mean, her big election had already happened because it was in the primary. So that had already happened months prior. So seeing that happen gives you hope that you might be that next Cinderella story.
Yeah, I can see that.
But
I can see that.
But it became clear within probably about 15, 20 minutes that it wasn't going to happen. So, I conceded and all that. But
was there anything, what's your biggest learning thing, your learning issue or learning point from running for office? Was it everything you thought it would be?
It was everything I thought it would be and more.
Yeah.
Organization is everything.
Yeah.
Like being organized and having people around you that you trust to have your back. And there were a handful of what I would call like super volunteers, like people who would show up pretty much every time I went out to do something.
Yeah.
And without them, we weren't getting anywhere close to what we got.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing with these elections is meeting people face to face.
Yeah.
And that was the main thing we couldn't do. We didn't have enough volunteers to knock doors, to get to every part of the district, because that is what it would have required to get more competitive and to perhaps even win.
Yeah.
But it was ugly, it was beautiful, it was everything.
No, because I get to talk to a lot of grassroots folks, and ignorance is bliss, and then when you, like you said, you dive in, and then like the reality of you running for office is happening, and I think people underestimate how much work goes into running a campaign, but they also underestimate the potential they have to make change.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you really can come from anywhere to upend the status quo. It's not going to be easy. You're going to have numerous bumps along the way. It's really about how you bounce back. It's really what it is. And having those people behind you that are telling you, don't give up, keep knocking doors, because you're going to be pushed back, whether it's your own establishment of your own party or whether it's in general, like businesses or unions, depending on where you are, or it could really be anything. But having enough people who are talking you up and motivating you and just want to get behind you, sort of like I mentioned with the documentary earlier, that's what it takes to have that Cinderella story happen. Because AOC did not do it by herself. She had incredible field organizers having her back. And I guarantee you she would say the same thing.
How do you tap into that community though? Like, is it like once you sign the papers or you get enough votes or whatever, are you invited into a conference or a party or something like that, and they say, okay, here's all the campaign managers are over here and all the door knockers are over there? Or is it like you literally in the street saying, hey, I'm thinking about running for office. Would you be my campaign manager?
So it definitely depends on where you are.
Mm-hmm.
So in New York, there's political infrastructure everywhere, especially if you're a Democrat. But the number one place, at least in my case, that you start is at political clubs. So in my case, there was a club called the Bay Ridge Democrats, and they're still around. They still do a lot of work. There's actually a candidate running in that area for Congress that was a good friend, and we're still good friends. His name is Mike DeSillis. He's going to be running this cycle as well. But he was one of those people that definitely motivated me to keep trying. And I was running on the state level when he was trying to run for Congress at that time as well. But yeah, Bay Ridge Democrats did so much work to help me in that race, because they were knocking on doors to get petitions signed, which is one of the hardest things to do in New York.
Yeah.
So we earlier spoke about, oh my goodness, I'm forgetting his name again.
Vance Bostic.
Vance Bostic, thank you. So earlier we were mentioning Vance Bostic, and he didn't have that organization behind him. That is why, or I'm not saying he didn't have an organization behind him, but he didn't have as much of an organization behind him as I was lucky enough to have in my case. That is why we made the ballot, because it's hard getting those petition signatures. It is very hard. And in Congress, I forget what you need in New York. It's probably like 3,500 signatures around there.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't want to sign. They think they're being tracked. It's also, if you're not a Democrat, you end up signing, it gets thrown out. There's all different ways they try to throw them out. The reason Vance didn't make the ballot is because Hakeem Jeffries' team challenged his petitions, and they threw out enough of them that he didn't make the ballot.
And that happens a lot. I was talking to Chris Fields. He ran for Senate for New Jersey. And he missed the signature ballot, or the signature, whatever. He didn't get enough signatures.
It's probably far more, because it's the Senate. Your constituency is the entire state. So, I mean, he may have needed like 8,000 signatures for all I know.
Yeah.
And Cory Booker is a very known quantity in New Jersey. This is not me complimenting him. I definitely have my share of issues with Cory Booker, but yeah, he definitely has a very powerful organization behind him.
Yeah. And this is like for normal folks that what we're not saying in the sunshine is this is how the rich people stack the deck against younger, not as established, not as rich folks that are trying to run for office so they can do things like get money out of office, so they get money out of politics, so they can abolish ICE. These are the things that they're doing. They're stacking the deck in their favor.
There's a reason why so many politicians are attorneys. And that's not to say that the skill set you develop as an attorney is not helpful as a politician. Obviously it is, especially if you're going to court and having to make your argument and all these things. But the main reason why the majority of them are attorneys is because, let's say you're a partner in a firm, you don't have to take any cases and you're still getting your salary.
That's wild.
So you could literally take a sabbatical from your firm for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever months to run for office.
And they might even
and you're still getting a paycheck.
Yeah.
And your firm will probably support you because they'll be thinking, this return on investment. And you have plenty of partners in there who can max out donations for you. That could be $250,000 in donations right there.
Easy. And that we're not even
if you're in a larger firm.
We're not even tapping into their friend group either.
And wealthy people have wealthy friends because they hang out together.
Yep.
the guy in the 12-bedroom house is not hanging out with the guy who lives in a box. So
All those people that keep buying those goofy red hats are not getting invitations to Mar-a-Lago.
no. He'll take their donations. He'll let them buy his crypto coin, but no, they're not invited to the parties where
No.
who knows what's going on.
I want to go back to neighbors, not numbers. What is that coalition's focus?
So, of course, the first primary mission or objective, whatever you want to call it, is abolishing ICE.
Mm-hmm.
But that's only the first step. So, but that first step has numerous steps internally in that step, or intra steps, if you want to call them that.
Yeah.
So, the first thing we're doing is trying to get enough people elected in the House and in the Senate that we can form what you might even call a caucus. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but we're hoping to get at least 30 to 40 candidates elected, or keep elected, or incumbents that are already elected. And we definitely have at least, I would say, somewhere between 10 and 15 elected officials right now in the House and in the Senate that support abolishing ICE.
Oh, yeah.
So keeping them where they are and adding hopefully another 10 to 15, maybe more, is how this really builds a foundation.
Yeah.
So once that happens, we're really gearing up for 2028. Because in 2028, we have a presidential election.
Yeah.
Our goal is to make sure we have as many Democrats and independents, or even Republicans, for all we know, running as candidates who have taken the pledge to abolish ICE.
Yeah.
And that is what we're building towards.
How long has this coalition been around?
So we formed, well, I shouldn't say we, I myself formed the Instagram page, which was the outreach up front, about 4 months ago. Okay. So it would have definitely been beneficial if I had done this earlier.
Yeah, but you can't pick when ideas hit you.
True. Like lightning strikes. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Thomas Edison with the key, whatever.
Exactly.
So it was about 4 months ago when that happened, and I have had help along the way, and we have a board of members who are integral with what we do. But we also formed the nonprofit about a month and a half ago. So we've only been an official nonprofit for about 6 weeks.
Okay. Well, congratulations on getting that certification.
Thank you.
I know.
Well, in Florida, they'll let you form a business to do anything, I guess. So
yeah, that's
is at least what I hear.
That's a good point.
but we've been incredibly lucky along the way. Like I'm someone who acknowledges first and foremost if I've had help from others, because very little gets done by yourself.
Yeah.
So one of our board members, it was actually her ex-boyfriend, but I'm assuming things ended cordially. He's the one who built our website.
Oh, cool.
And for people who don't know how complicated it is to build a website that needs to be as functional as what we needed it for, you can't just go on Wix and plug in some stuff and do all that. And there's still things that we're working on improving.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, it does not seem as if this is going to happen at this point, but Ballotpedia has the most vast network of candidates that are listed on the internet. You have the ability to pay for that access and to utilize their database, but it costs money. Mm-hmm. So it's about $1,000 to get access to that database. So that's one of the things we've been raising money for. It does not look as if we're going to get there this year, but that is something we definitely absolutely would want for 2028.
Yeah. And access to the database. The database is full of all the candidates that are running for office.
Correct. And every House race every U.S. Senate race. This is thousands of candidates.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I can see where that'd be beneficial.
Of course, because one of the things that we're doing, and you could go on our website and like put in your zip code and see who all your federal level legislators are, you know, U.S. Congress, U.S. Senate. You can see if they've taken the pledge, which as of right now, there's no sitting members of Congress or the Senate that have taken the pledge. That will change, though. One of our candidates, who, let's just be clear, at this point, he is going to be the next member of Congress in his House seat.
Nice.
Chris Rabb took the pledge a couple weeks ago.
Nice. Thank you, Chris.
He's a warrior. We're so proud to have him. And this is growing. So I knew the dominoes would fall as more and more dominoes fell. Like, it's just one of those kind of like snowball effects. So we're getting more and more candidates that have that clout, that have that name recognition. And then building off of that is how you get the really big candidates. So, like, just to give you an example, we also got Angie Nixon to take the pledge.
Nice.
And she's running for the U.S. Senate in Florida. We're currently targeting Abdul El Sayed to take the pledge, Graham Plattner, and there's other candidates as well, but those are some of our bigger, I guess you could say, targets.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, this is literally community building. So when people, normal folks, when people are talking about community building and all that, this is what we're talking about. Excuse me.
Absolutely. The more candidates and elected officials eventually, when they win, that jump on board, the stronger this gets. Because it's almost like an army. It's a coalition that we're building here.
And this is going to sound dumb, but I'm leading you somewhere. Why abolish ICE?
It's broken. It's just fundamentally broken. Like, if you have a house that is riddled with termites, like it's in the foundation, it is everywhere. Or if you, this is gross, unfortunately, I've lived in New York, so I had this experience. If you have a bed with bed bugs, you don't clean the bed, you throw the bed out. Or if you have a bed frame that's like a wooden bed frame, like, they are in there and they're not going away. You got to throw the bed frame away. You got to get a new bed frame. Maybe get a metal one next time, because they won't get in there, the bugs. But let's go back to the house metaphor. That's probably a less traumatic one, even though it's probably also traumatic for people. So you have a foundation that is just rotten at that point. Are you going to try to repurpose that rotten foundation, or are you going to knock the whole thing down and build it fresh, build it new, build it in a way where it's not toxic from its inception? Because let's be clear, the fact that we're seeing all of these things happening right now, right in front of our eyes, doesn't mean a lot of these just completely unnecessary acts are not already happening. Like, Obama built cages, and he got called out for it, and he deported many people, but he did it in a more subtle way. So, and every Democrat who's been elected has also increased the ICE budget pretty much one after another. That's how we got to the point we're at. So Trump would have never been able to do all the things he's doing right now if it weren't for Democrats kind of laying the groundwork before him, and other Republicans.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's frustrating. Well, coming from the community that I come from, cops are just fine whipping our ass. They're good at it. They didn't need any help. So then you went and you got some bullies to then roam the streets, and it pisses me off. It pisses me off. It pisses me off that folks think that it's okay to break up families like that. But then to add complexity to my pissed offness, the fact that someone like me might be running, or not running, but walking through the streets, and some ICE guy says you have a funny accent and they throw me in the car. And there's people that think that that's okay. I am a United States Army veteran. Number one, they're not just going to take me like that. They're just not. We're going to be on the news that night. And then let's just say yeah, they did successfully put me in the car and they did successfully do all those things. Now, like, my family doesn't know where I am. I might end up in Colombia or wherever the hell it is that they're sending people
El Salvador.
off to El Salvador. Like, and you guys are okay with that?
Like, the thing is, I keep seeing another thing I've seen from people who are just closed off entirely, like people who don't even want to have a conversation about this. They say, oh, I don't see you taking in the criminals. And the vast majority of undocumented people are not criminals, because to be a criminal means you've committed a crime.
Right.
The vast majority of undocumented people have not committed a crime. They've committed a civil violation.
Yeah.
Civil violation can lead to
speeding ticket.
Exactly.
It's the same as a parking ticket.
And that's not to say perhaps, they won't get deported or something like that. They'll usually get like a warning. There's like different statutes and things like that.
Yeah.
But it's not being a criminal. And by the way, people who are undocumented and actually have committed like violent crimes, deport them. We're not trying to protect those people.
Exactly.
Because they've committed violent crimes.
Mm-hmm.
But to paint with such a broad brush and to say everyone falls into that kind of bracket is just false. It's the vast majority don't. But they're being treated like they are.
And you sit there saying that these people are criminals when they're not all the time, but they're not criminal. And even if they were criminals, you have loaded the government full of criminals. Rick Scott, your senator, was busted for the largest healthcare scam in American history. Why are you not trying to deport him? We don't even have to talk about the president. Let's not even talk about him. Let's talk about all of these folks. Let's talk about all these folks doing insider trading. You're not deporting them. Insider trading should be illegal.
Why do you think, with everything going on in Iran, that you will see, you can almost time it at this point. It's gotten to a point where it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. But you can almost time Trump's truth social posts, whatever they call them. I think they're called truths, about the negotiating process. And they're BS. I want to say he has said that we are days away from a 60-day ceasefire like 16 times.
Yeah. Just like Iran has been 2 weeks away from having a nuke for like 30, 40 years.
47 years is the thing they always say. But at the same time, while he's doing all this, saying these silly things, him and who knows how many, a handful of his wealthy buddies are buying and then dumping oil futures stock every time.
And we're not even talking about all the scams that they could be doing in all these betting apps.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Because like the thing is, he's opened up an avenue where he can be as corrupt as he wants. Yeah. And there's no one to stop him, because the party that is in control, because like they are still fully in control of Supreme Court, the legislature, well, and of course the executive, because that's him.
Yeah.
If they're not willing to be a watchdog, then he can do what he wants.
It's clear he's doing it.
Like if you have a dog who's pissing and crapping all over your house, if you're not going to stop them, they're going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
So he's pissing and crapping all over our country.
All over it.
Isn't that a great picture?
No, but it's apropos. It's exactly what's happening. He sees this piggy bank, and he keeps banging it on the side. You know, he's got it flipped. He's got the little thing pulled out, and he's like shaking it, and he's hitting it on the side. He's doing all the things
But he's not taking his $400,000 salary.
because he's making billions on the side.
Exactly. That is.
Would you rather keep your $300,000 salary, or would you rather get a $400 million jet? That's an easy. You said earlier you didn't like math, so I was just trying to.
I can definitely do that math. But I think his wealth has tripled since his second time in office.
Yeah.
In less than 2 years, his wealth has tripled.
Yeah.
But Hunter Biden, who, granted, did bad things, not defending the behavior. I'm not defending what Joe Biden did with Hunter Biden, all that stuff. But it is this compared to Trump's this.
Yeah. And you're only comparing the two people. Their teams, like Trump's team, is making so much money.
Jared Kushner, Steve Witkoff, all
What's
these
his
people.
daughter, Ivanka?
Ivanka.
She's talking about this island that they just bought.
I mean, I think you're going to sort of kind of going back to when we first spoke about where we might be going as society. Why do you think Peter Thiel just fled to Argentina?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why do you think Ivanka is talking about some private island where they can hunker down, whatever the saying is?
Yeah.
So
and the island has like nuclear proof bunkers, from what I understand.
Like I said, I hope 1 and 1 making 2 in this case doesn't actually make 2. But again, with that math, the math ain't mathin'. But but it's scary. I mean, I don't have a crystal ball, but when you see people who have this much knowledge and information of the world around them, as much as, I mean, the guy started a company that is based on like a negative force in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Palantir. Like, he's that evil. He's so evil, he named his company after an evil, like, orb.
Yeah. That's how dumb he thinks normal folks are.
Well, yeah.
He's playing in your face. These folks are playing in your face in broad daylight. It's almost like, I haven't looked into this at all, but it's almost like America's already broken, and these are the buzzards that are just picking at the bones.
Well, they're also the ones who are like recycling and pushing around the whole notion that it's immigrants who are the reason why you're having your issues. Yeah. It's, I mean, pick whoever you want. But in reality, the people who are most at fault are the ones who have the power to change it and choose not to.
Yeah, because they're still benefiting from it.
Exactly. So one thing I will say, and this is not wishful thinking, I want to make that perfectly clear, but do you remember what happened with Luigi and the United Healthcare executive? I would say if things really go wrong with, with the election coming up and perhaps other things, that will be the first step. People will be gunning for the wealthy.
Yeah.
And it won't be just like people on the left.
No.
It'll be people on the right too.
And you can see it happening. People have been taking shots at each other because, like, we're accessible. Normal people are accessible. We don't live in fancy gated communities, and We don't get our own private islands and stuff like that. We have to go to a community church. We have to go to community school. We have to do things out in public. So, you know, when you're taking a shot at a normal person, it's easy to get to a normal person.
And you saw the way people reacted to it as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Luigi was like hailed as like a hero to many people. And not only, and the wildest, not the wildest, but a wild thing. I don't know if you have seen this ad yet. I forget what I was watching when it was some streaming service, but I saw an ad a few weeks ago by United Healthcare where they had like 3 or 4 people who are, I don't know what their roles are, but they're like, you know, working in the call center or whatever it is. And they're dealing directly with like policy holders and potential policy holders. And they were like, oh, I love my job and I love helping people. And I'm like, we're living in 1984.
Yeah.
Like, it's so, they're trying to use a Band-Aid to cover like a gaping wound.
Yeah.
And I couldn't help but it was so insane. I was laughing because I didn't know how else to react to such absurd ignorance. Like that, like this commercial is going to change people's minds after being happy that someone just murdered someone in cold blood.
That used to be on your team.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can hear my voice and you have not read through that book 1984, please do. It's a fun read, and it's a little shocking how, you know, today's world is 1984. The way that they use marketing to have people vote against their own interests. Oh, you don't want everyone to have health care. That's gonna make people think they want more stuff. You don't
How
want to
dare
give
you?
them education. They're gonna read books. You don't want.
It'll be like we're communists.
And people like, you know what? Yeah, that makes sense.
You know what
Let's
the literacy
make everybody
rate?
dumb.
Not to say everything works so well over there, but you know what the literacy rate in Cuba is? It's like 99%.
Yeah. Yeah. That's where my dad is from. People talk a lot of shit about Cuba, but in Cuba, when there's war, Cuba sends doctors. And recently, they have said that they have something that looks promising against, or with the fight against Alzheimer's. They make doctors. You can go from kindergarten to your PhD to your doctorate to all the things for free because they think an educated population is more helpful than a group of dum-dums.
Monsters. Just monsters.
Exactly. Exactly. And if you think about it, it's our fault. It's the United States' fault that they are communist. Because it was there was an understanding between the United States government and Fidel, and they say, hey, Fidel, if you take over, we'll make you a deal. We'll buy all this sugar, and all that money will go to you running your government. He said, all right, cool. He takes over the island. He says, all right, I got your sugar ready. And then the United States was like, huh? No, we want you to act like this and like that and like this and like that. We know that this is the case because they do it everywhere. Argentina, over in the Middle East, we want you to act a certain way. And Fidel said, I just put my life on the line. I'm not going to do that. And then America said, then we're not buying your sugar. And who was the other superpower? Russia.
Russia.
So if your people are struggling and the superpower that's right next door says no, you go to the other one.
It's a marketplace.
Think about it. It truly is. If you are running a country, there are bigger countries, depending on the country, but there are bigger countries that are interested in your vote, specifically in the United Nations. So America goes around and they pummel you until you vote their way. China will lend you money and make you want to do improvements to your country and all this stuff, but then they'll lend you the money. And then if you don't pay, then they start claiming your country or these favors at the United Nations. That's how it works. That's how, like.
I mean, I guess you might call that soft imperialism, because it's not like we're launching like full scale attacks like with weapons and people, but like we're doing it through commerce and like basically freezing people out. I mean, that's what we did in South and Central America like crazy.
Yeah. And that's what makes China dangerous is it makes them formidable because they have manufacturing down. They have a government system that you don't have to wait for people to argue things back and forth. You have a small group of people that say, this is what's going to happen, go do it. So they get things done. And they have all this financial backing to where they can go to a place and offer them loans and stuff like that and improvements and stuff like that. They have been slowly but surely taking over the planet, and nobody knows because they're doing it financially.
Well, they're also not dumping so much of their money into the military.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of money, I don't know. I'm sure it's changed. It's probably even worse now, actually. But the last I saw, we were spending more than the next 11 countries combined, and like 9 of them are our allies. Or at least they're not considered adversaries.
Right.
So I'm not saying we shouldn't have the ability to protect ourselves, but at the same time, if we're concerned with mosquitoes, why are we building bazookas? Why aren't we building fly swatters or the bug zapper things? Like we're just overdoing it. And on top of that, to make matters even worse, the amount of money we're spending on our military, you could see how ineffective it is with what is currently happening in Iran. Mm-hmm. They are basically bringing us to our knees with drones, with cheap drones. Their Shahed drones, I think, are like $25,000 a piece. Mm-hmm. And they're being basically trading one for one with our missiles that are like, I don't know, 1 or 2 million a piece. And we only have so much. Like our stockpile is, I think the last I read from like Barack Ravid, who seems to get all the insider information with Axios. The last I read, it will take us somewhere between 8 to 10 years to replenish our stockpile.
Right, and all the warmongers are watering at the mouth because that's all money in their pockets.
And on top of that, like we as a country have basically made a position that we are gonna defend the sovereignty of Taiwan towards China.
Yeah.
How are we gonna do that when we can't even have the deterrent of those weapons?
And how are we going to do that when we're walking around claiming countries? And we're making it easy for them to take it.
There's only so many of those THAAD, I think they're like radar, I want to say. Mm-hmm. We had to take the one from South Korea because the one we had in the Middle East was damaged. So South Korea now doesn't have as much protection against North Korea and against other potential enemies. So, and what's going on right now is also making the whole Gulf realize that we're not there to have their back.
Yeah.
because they're being attacked as a result of what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, they're not fond of Iran attacking them, obviously, but they know why they're being attacked, and they
And it's not
know
anything
they're
that
not
they
being
did.
defended. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can't solve every problem with violence. You just can't.
It's a cycle.
Yeah.
It just begets more of it.
Because linking what's happening in the Middle East with what's happening here, I remind people, imagine being at a wedding and drones come down and explode and your entire family is killed.
You mean like what Obama did?
Yeah. And even now, where, you know, we bombed a school of 150, give or take, young girls.
3 times.
At what point are we going to realize that violence only creates more enemies? And then linking it back to your push, at what point do you think these ICE agents collecting brown kids is going to make me want to tap back into this country?
I mean, they're not only that, they're also hiring from those communities because they're desperate. So like you're seeing 19, 20, 21-year-old Latinos getting hired to work with ICE because, $50,000 bonus, which I guess I don't think they've really gotten.
Yeah, they got tricked out of a bunch of money.
And they're not doing legitimate background checks.
Yeah.
They've hired January 6ers. They've hired people who are like sexual predators. I mean, there was a journalist actually who I don't recall her name. I seem to not recall anyone's name, but she, I forgot if it was like intentionally to write an article, but like she applied to work with ICE. They basically hired her without finishing her process.
Oh, I saw that.
She didn't even finish the process. I think they were supposed to do like a drug test, and they didn't do it, or a background check.
Yeah,
didn't do it.
I remember seeing something. I can't remember her name either, but yeah, I remember seeing that and just thinking, they're gonna get someone killed.
Well, like the thing is, and the scary thing is, these ICE agents who've been working with like CBP and all this even before Trump, there's certain tactics they use to give themselves the plausible reason to have to shoot you. So, as an example, the Renee Nicole Good situation, that same officer had been involved in a situation like that in the past, where he basically put his body just enough in harm's way to justify the need for lethal response.
And for normal folks, yes, there are people out there that will legally take a life just to see what it feels like to take a life.
Of course. And
I've talked to those idiots.
Yeah. There's plenty of them in Florida.
Yeah. There's a lot of them that I talked to who are from there. I am so happy that you exist. I'm so happy that you see what's happening and your instinct is to help. And not just like donating $5 or all that stuff helps, but going the extra mile and like starting a full-on organization to be like, hey, time out. This shit don't work.
I will say this, not an excuse, just as an explanation. I'm neurodivergent, so I have, I guess you could say I'm inflicted with hyper empathy. Like when I see the things going on, whether it's in our own streets with ICE or whether it's in the Middle East, in Gaza, like it's both incredibly distressful. Like I've been brought to tears.
Yeah.
And I've also been brought to the point where I want to punch a hole through a wall, like at the same time.
Yep.
And not to say you shouldn't feel emotions, like you should, and you shouldn't bottle them up, but you should also realize, what can you do? And if you find a way you can do something, if you choose not to do that, you're being negligent. You're being negligent as an American. You're being negligent as a human being. You're being negligent as a neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess you could say that's kind of where this all came from. And when I first started this, I didn't know it was going to get to where we are. And there's still so much more we have to do.
Yeah.
There's so much more. But if you told me like 4 months ago, and I had heard of Chris Rabb, I believe, 4 months ago, because he was like running and he won the primary in the bluest district in America. If you had told me Chris Rabb would have taken the pledge, I'd say you're out of your fucking mind. No way. No way. But every victory like that drives me to get past every defeat. Because let's be also very clear. With these insurgent candidates, the vast majority of them are not going to even win their primaries.
Yeah.
Because it's hard. It's very hard.
Mm-hmm.
They're up against a mountain. And they have a better chance now than they ever have before. But it's still incredibly difficult. I mean, you're probably we're in the same chat. You've seen what the candidates running for Congress in Connecticut are dealing with, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't think they've had a competitive primary for decades in Connecticut because the way they get on the ballot. Or like I think it's been like 40 years or something, because you have to get 15% of the delegates, and there's like wheeling and dealing going on. It's sort of silly, like the way the Iowa caucus is.
Yeah.
But like the thing is, the elected official always has the connections to make sure you don't get those delegates, and then you only have, I think, like a week or 10 days to get the enough signatures to get on the ballot, and it just never happens.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I did a whole video with about 3, maybe 4 of those guys. Yeah, shout out to all of them. It's heartbreaking when you see normal people uprooting their lives to go make change, and they're doing all this stuff, and they're like you said, the mountain or the machine that they're up against is just this gigantic thing. And it's like, for me, I'm probably a lot like you, where I see a situation, I feel the feels, and then I'm like, all right, what do I have to do? What can I do? Yeah, and but it is sad to listen to story after story after story of how the game is rigged, and how you need way more money than you have to make a dent. But boy, when we finally find that crack and we finally start leaking some of you guys in, and shout out to Courage Candidates. In association with everything that you're doing, Courage Candidates have promised not to take any corporate PAC money.
that's amazing.
Yeah. And you and your group, and how they are promising to abolish ICE and all that stuff. And having the group of people that you can compare. You have the grassroots people that are promising not to take PAC money, and they're promising to abolish ICE, and they're promising to do all this stuff for free. All they want is the job and the salary.
Yeah.
They don't need insider trading. They don't need bonus checks from anyone. They don't need any of that shit. They just want to do it because it's the right thing to do.
We need more of those people to get elected. The main primary, I didn't realize they closed about 52 minutes ago, the polls.
Oh,
So,
wow.
And we do actually have a candidate on the ballot in Maine's 2nd, Paige Loud. So shout out to Paige. I really hope she does well tonight. She's in a tough race.
Yeah.
And she's actually been locked out of some kind of more progressive endorsements as well. So it's really unfortunate the way things have kind of worked out. And I can't tell you I'm super familiar with all the other candidates and their platforms, but I've had a decent opportunity to look into Paige's platform, and I can't imagine someone being more of like a New Deal Democrat which is, I would say, pretty much, at least in my view, the gold standard out of what I see a Democrat being nowadays.
Yeah.
And yeah, she missed out on some of those opportunities, like Our Revolution, some of the others. But yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah. It's frustrating because we're waking up, but boy, if we could have done this like a year or two ago. But the good
And
thing is that we're waking up.
but something I definitely want to call out, and I've talked about this a couple times. This is not associated with the nonprofit, but
Mm-hmm.
uh, I imagine, because I think a lot of us were paying attention to the race in Illinois, the primary that
Mm-hmm.
Katabughazali was running in.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to say there were like 8 or 9 candidates running.
Mm-hmm.
And there were 3 candidates who were viable. Like, let's be very transparent about that. There were 3. It was Daniel Biss, it was I think it was Lauren Fine, and it was Katabughazali.
Mm-hmm.
Lauren Fine, of course, like completely in bed with APAC. Daniel Biss was sort of like the APAC light candidate, J Street, and then Katabughazali.
Mm-hmm.
But Katabughazali didn't win, and I'm saying this just very, putting it out there. She didn't win because there were other candidates vying for her left lane, running lower on the ticket, or I guess you could say lower support wise. I don't remember
Mm-hmm.
their 2
Mm-hmm.
names, but there was another Muslim woman running. I forget her name. I think it was like Wala. I forget. And there was a gentleman running. Between the
Mm-hmm.
2 of them, they got about, I think it was 11 or 12% of the vote. There's no reason to suspect that a significant portion of that vote would not have gone to Katabughazali. And she didn't
Yeah.
lose by that much to Daniel Biss.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason I mention all of this is, in primaries or elections, it's mostly primaries, that there is no ranked choice voting. We have to be far more strategic as a left flank of this party, because the party's not going to do us any favors. They're not.
Mm-hmm.
So if we work against ourselves and end up splitting votes because we can't consolidate, it's going to set us back every single time.
Every time.
Like, I'm so grateful Chris Rabb got through it, because there were a couple candidates in his race you could say were sort of left-leaning candidates as well.
Mm-hmm.
You never know. And I don't know if the party is setting like ghost candidates up. I don't know if that's the case, but ultimately, until the system becomes more conducive to having multiple left-leaning candidates running at the same time and actually getting the results you want, we have to find a way to have these conversations, and for candidates that are not viable to say, okay, this is bigger than me. This is about all of us.
Yeah.
And if I keep swimming upstream like a salmon going up the Mount Everest or something, I'm not going to get there, and I'm going to prevent the others who are fighting for pretty much the same things I'm fighting for. They're not going to get there either.
Yeah.
So we got to be adults. We got to acknowledge that the mission is bigger than any single one of us.
Yeah. And if we keep playing those me games, it's going to look a lot like what we're looking at now, with the Republicans being in control of everything, and they're just it's never been as far as I can remember, there has never been a Republican that took office that hasn't left the office in shambles.
Yeah, economics wise,
Yeah.
foreign policy wise.
Yeah. Yeah. Um Job numbers wise, when you realize that the Republican Party would not mind the government falling apart because that gives them the power. The Democrats, they want all the people to vote, and they want all the inclusion. They want all the stuff. Um And Republicans just aren't like that. Make that realization and vote accordingly.
They're
Like
kind of
their
just given
favorite
marching orders.
guy, yeah, like their favorite guy said, is your life better today than it was 4 years ago? 2 years ago?
Unfortunately,
No.
every time I'm asked that question, it's never better.
Right. Right. And that's the
But it's
frustrating
definitely
thing.
not
But
the same. It's not the same. It's not a. It's a unfair equivalence. But
yeah.
yes,
Yeah. You received the point. We've been going for 2.5 some odd hours. You want to give folks take the last few moments, however long it takes, to give people information about Neighbors Not Numbers Coalition and the pledge, and where they can find you, where they can follow up with all the work that you've been doing.
absolutely. And thank you so much for having me on, Carlos. First and foremost. So the mission we have, and I hate even mentioning this, but the mission we have to accomplish it, we need to raise money so we can create advertisements to inform voters of bad politicians who have supported ICE and are still supporting ICE. We need that to get materials so we can also support candidates and other opportunities to make sure we get better candidates on the ballot and, into Washington, D.C. And the way we do that is, of course, through donations. And we are a legitimate 501c4. I want to say that first and foremost. We're not like some fringe. Your money is going to an American entity. We're not run by the Chinese government or something that they say other organizations are or whatever. But the way you can get to our website is www.triple, and it's spelled out triple, TRIPLE, N as in November, C as in Charlie, so triple-NC.org. And our website is far more than just, like a button to donate. You can look for the candidates that are on our ticker that you have the ability to donate to and support. You can look up the elected officials in your area to see if they've taken the pledge, which they have not yet. But we give you the resources to be able to reach out to those candidates, because the only way this pressure campaign works is with just a massive amount of people coming together to make this collective action happen. That is the only way this works. And we know the people are on our side. Democrats, over 3/4 of Democrats support abolishing ICE. A plurality of, I believe it's 14 points for independents support abolishing ICE. Almost 1/4 of Republicans support abolishing ICE. And these numbers are only going to continue shifting more and more in favor of abolition. So, what are you waiting for?
I love it. Thank you. Thank you for taking time to come and talk to us and sharing more information about everything that you're doing, taking time out of your busy schedule to do so. Thank you for having the idea of creating a coalition that says this doesn't work. This just doesn't work. We got to rip this out. And they're spending so much money on ICE when they could be spending that on education.
Or even another idea as well, they could be putting a lot more immigration judges in place, because
Yeah.
we have a massive backlog right now. If they hired 1,000 immigration judges, which they easily could do with the money they're throwing away on ICE agents, that
Yeah.
backlog would disappear, not overnight, but it would disappear in a matter of, who knows, months.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't make our
That would
system
help.
perfect, but it would make our system a lot better. Even just that, but that's not enough. But
Yeah. Yeah. We have to improve this system, but we have to take the pressure off the system first.
100%. And the I guess the main, not the main, but one of the last things I wanted to say about like the Democratic Party, if you're to the right of Ronald Reagan on immigration, you're wrong. You're not a moderate. You're wrong.
Yeah.
And Ronald Reagan in the 80s passed legislation that anyone who was here for just under 5 years and had not committed any violent crimes received amnesty. Where have we gone?
Yeah. Yeah. We can add another 2 hours to that conversation.
I am
We'll wrap it
no.
up. I'm gonna have you back on. We're gonna figure out a way to have you back on. Just because I think everything that you're sharing is so important. And I have friends up and down Florida that tell me all the stories about families getting picked up and just communities disappearing. And that doesn't work. That's not gonna work. That it's not. So as a member of the Brown community, thank you for number one, not being racist. And then and then number two, just like actually seeing the problems for what they are and moving in the direction of fixing it. I know minorities and majorities and everything, and we don't communicate as clearly as we should, and blah 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 blah. I want to take 2 seconds to say thank you for all your efforts, for helping the Brown community, because we dumb. not dumb in a way that like we're dumb because we have members of our community that made full-on songs about Donald Trump and all this stuff, and they didn't think that they were going to get picked up by ICE and all this stuff. Like, that's who they told you. They told you. And if you didn't believe them, you have to believe the black community that has been telling you these motherfuckers have their finger on the scale.
100%.
All that to say,
100%.
thank you for everything that you've done, everything that you're doing. I'm a fan, and we're definitely going to bump into each other again soon, I think.
I'm sure. And I would love an excuse to come out to California instead of just laying low in Tallahassee. So maybe I'll find a way to come out to, your neck of the woods.
Do that. That'd be a great time. All right, Adam. Thanks again so much.
You too, Carlos. Thank you for having me on.
And with that, everybody, we're out.